You're listening to the Favorite Marriage Podcast, a place where you and your spouse can experience God's favor on your forever. We are your hosts, Monty and Jeannine Mora. With over 28 years of marriage, our desire is to encourage any marriage in any season to have the favorite marriage. Join us as we explore relevant topics and provide practical tools for your marriage toolbox. Here's this week's episode of The Favorite Marriage. Well, hello everyone. Welcome back to the Favorite Marriage Podcast, where we are incredibly passionate about the married life. Again, we're your hosts, Monty and Jeannine Mora, and we're excited that you're joining us here today.
Yes, we are.
Yeah, so we're going to be doing part 2 of a series we began last episode called Sleighing the Holiday Stress. And we're going to be looking at a couple other holiday tips that we want to put into your marriage tool bag so you can continue to have some great holiday experiences. And so we have some pretty cool things we want to share with you today.
Yep. So from our last podcast, we had a couple of stories that were shared with us on how people are able to split their time and reduce holiday stress. And one of those stories comes from our friend Amy. And she shared how their family had to adapt to sharing their Thanksgiving and Christmas between actually two families. So they actually do this on Thanksgiving and Christmas.
Okay.
And what they do is every Sunday before Thanksgiving and every Sunday before Christmas, they share that time with one of their families. And that just seems to work really well. They've been doing it for years. And if the holiday actually lands on the Sunday, they do it the Sunday before. So it's always Sunday.
Okay.
And they just have that set. So their families are able to plan. They know that how that's going to work. And then they had some really fun traditions that they did on that Sunday. And I have to share one of them because it's so cute. So her father actually dresses up like Pancho Claus. I hope I'm saying that right. I believe it was Pancho Claus with a little sombrero. And then he comes and he gives stockings to all of the kids. And the ages of the kids are 1 through 18. So that's important because after they turn 19 that year, they do like this ceremony where they cut the stocking, they turn it in, and then they are able to graduate to doing like the gift exchange with the adults.
Nice. So it's like a holiday rites of passage type of moment. Yeah.
Yeah, she says it gets all emotional and everything. So yeah, it's really cool. So that is something that they have done. So the Sunday before Thanksgiving and the Sunday before Christmas, that's their day with their dad.
Yeah. Cool tradition. Love it.
And we had multiple people share about the whole swapping thing that we had mentioned in the previous episode. A lot of people do that. They swap Thanksgiving and Christmas with the family. So if they spend Christmas with one family one year, then they spend Thanksgiving with that family, and then they switch and spend Christmas with the other family.
It's like that rotation type of thing. Yeah.
That seems to be the most popular.
Yeah, we've heard a lot of feedback from that, which is really good. Holiday tips 3 and 4 we're going to be talking about today. Just a real quick recap of holiday tips 1, 2, and 3. Holiday tip 1 was communication. We really encourage the husband and wife to communicate early before the holidays come upon them so that they're together on the same page.
Right.
Holiday tip number 2 was compromise, meaning as a husband and wife, make some compromises together on how you're going to divvy up the holiday time, who you're going to spend the holidays with, all that stuff. Come to a healthy compromise. And then number 3 is create new holiday traditions. And we gave a few ideas that you can put into your marriage toolbox for that. And then we might even share a few more here in just a bit. But this is a marriage podcast.
Right.
So we want to help couples develop some good, maybe some traditions for themselves.
Correct.
Because let's say if they're newlywed, they want to establish some new traditions for themselves just as a married couple. Then, of course, if you're in where we're at in our stage in life, we're empty nesters, and we're learning to establish some new traditions for us. But one of the traditions you've always done, which is neat, is you want to talk about it, the love ornament?
Yeah. So I don't know when I started that. I think it might have been back in in the 90s.
Yeah.
And I just, as a wife, I wanted to give you something like a love token. And it started off one year, and then I just did it the next year and continue to do that. And so what I do is go to a store and I look for an ornament that either represented our year and what that looked like, or it's some kind of heart or some kind of symbolism of God's love.
Mm-hmm.
So it's just my special gift
Yeah.
to you every year. And then the tradition that we have started as just a husband and wife is we go to a Christmas store. We have tried to go back to Estes Park in this one particular Christmas shop.
We've got a lot of them from that one shop in Estes Park. Yeah.
And if we're not able to go up there, then we'll pick just a place where we know we can find those personalized Christmas ornaments with all of our names on them.
Yeah.
Yeah. So that's always been really fun.
With all the kiddos. Yeah.
Right.
As empty nesters, we did something last year for the very first time, and we went on a scavenger hunt together.
Mm-hmm.
So we got some hot chocolate, got in the car, we got a scavenger hunt list, and we just drove around the community, and we were checking off all the different things we needed to find that people have set up in their front yard with lights and things like that.
Right.
So that was really neat.
Yeah, there were some fun things that we had to look for. Like, I can't believe we found the dinosaur. Like, there was a dinosaur on the scavenger list, and we actually found a dinosaur. There was actually quite a few of them.
Yeah, there was.
Dinosaurs are a thing now for Christmas.
Yeah.
But yeah, that is just something we found out how important that actually is now that we're empty nesting.
Mm-hmm.
All of the great traditions with your kids are wonderful and they should be embraced. But just know and prepare yourself that as they grow up and they get married and they part, well, I shouldn't say part ways, but as they move out and they got to do, their family traditions and they're working on their own time together and family traditions, that it becomes us again. Do you remember our very, very first thing that we did? As I think we just might have been dating, and we still have them till this day.
No.
You remember we made stockings for each other out of the weirdest things, like glitter and like everything, sequins, and then we wrote our names on them. But we
put those up every year, so yeah, I do.
Yeah.
I remember them when you pull them out.
Yeah. So yeah, take time to make those traditions between you and your spouse.
Some other things you might want to think about, like ice skating. If you live in a cold climate like here in Colorado, you can take your spouse ice skating. You can go and watch a Christmas play show. Just get creative with what you and your spouse want to do and begin to establish that holiday tradition just between you and your spouse.
Cuddle up and just watch a Hallmark movie.
Yeah.
Just bear with her husbands. You'll enjoy it.
Yeah, Hallmark movies.
Yeah, so we better get into our last two holiday tips. Holiday tip 4. So holiday tip 4, we want to talk about having flexible expectations. This is huge.
Yeah, it is.
Expectations can be good and bad. So we're going to talk a little bit about both. But first, I want to talk about going into the holiday season with clear, realistic expectations for your holidays. So a few of those expectations, one of them is expecting a perfect holiday gathering. The ones that you see in the magazine, the ones that you see on Instagram and Pinterest,
Hallmark movies,
or your neighbor or a relative. And it's just something that, you want to have it look perfect, just like that. I mean, the turkey is just the right color and the tree is standing so tall and straight with all of the ornaments perfectly placed. Like, all of those expectations are beautiful. But to have the expectation that it's going to be like that every year, all the time, it's just not realistic. You're going to have those times when the tree's not going to look its best. Matter of fact, if you have toddlers and small children, it's not going to, and you will, should I back up, you allow them to decorate?
Yeah.
It's just not going to be like that. And I learned the hard way over year after year about I'm a perfectionist, and there's been times when I kind of ruined the tree decorating time because it was, it's not in the right place, and that's not, it's just
OCD was kicking in,
and it kind of ruined it. So just let it go. They're not always going to be in the perfect spot, and the garland might be a little crooked, but embrace those years and embrace those times and those moments when things are not perfect.
Yeah.
Because eventually they do. They get better. No one touches my tree now because we're empty nesters.
Yeah. Our dog, Emmy, we have to keep things kind of high because she might. Yeah. But that's a whole nother story there.
Right. So again, just not having those unrealistic expectations. So second, chasing materialistic desires. So thinking about like those big presents, those big elaborate gifts that some families are able to give.
Sure.
And you're just not at that place. You know, those are times when you really just need to have that conversation with your spouse. Like, look, honey, this is not going to happen. You're not going to get that diamond ring, and you're not going to get that
BMW.
Lexus or BMW. Well, you have a BMW. I thought you had a BMW.
Yeah. Beautiful Mexican woman. BMW, guys.
So he doesn't need a BMW. That's funny. Okay. Anyway, so just having a conversation with your kids, and we all know I know you and I have been in a place where we have had to have a budget, and we've had to sit down with our kids and just be honest with them. Like, you know, this is what we're going to have this year. We hope that you can be grateful.
Yeah.
It's important to teach them that young, and you know, it's not always going to be an easy conversation because when they're young, they don't understand why this family was able to get this, and their friends are talking about all these great things that they got, that they got.
So you have to teach your kids the importance of expectations and not comparing their gifts with their friends' gifts. You know, they might get the Xbox, the Nintendo 360. Does that still exist?
I don't know.
Whatever is out there. And their friends might get that, but they might not get that. And so, again, talking with your kids about, hey, these are the expectations that we have as far as gifts for you this year, and teaching your kids to be grateful for what they receive during those times of opening gifts. And so, I mean, just a few things.
It's a good teaching moment to bring in the reason for the season. Like we always hear that, but it's so true, and it's important that we establish that foundation early. And then as we grow older, I mean, I believe there's been times where I might have expected something, or you might have expected something as a gift, and it just, when we opened it wasn't there. And just by body language and nonverbals, it's like, oh, okay.
Well, I really, really like it. I really do.
But if we tend to, we just need to be careful on how we respond to one another, and just, I hate to say, put your expectations low.
So let's talk about some other unrealistic expectations that we must be aware of. And we talked about this idea of trying to recreate past memories of nostalgia. And I think we talked a little bit about that. But another one is like seeking unconditional family harmony. That's one that we have to also keep our expectations within margin and also moderate, because sometimes it might not be the way we expect it to be when it comes to the family harmony. You know, the kids might get up on Christmas morning and we might be expecting this amazing moment, and all of a sudden they start throwing a tantrum because they don't like the gift they got, and they ruin the entire harmony. So again, be flexible with those expectations, and give yourself a little bit of room to breathe when it comes to those things, where, especially if they don't turn out the way you want them to turn out.
Right. They might wake up fighting and pulling each other's hair. And I like that you said they, quote unquote, ruin Christmas, right? And that's really doesn't have to be that way. To say that, oh, this was ruined, or dinner was ruined, or this person just ruined the whole event.
Yeah.
If we can come to grips with ourselves and our mindset, like being flexible with family is important. Like,
sure,
we are not going to be perfect. I don't know if there's any perfect families out there, but we do not have the perfect family or extended family. And if we can be together, if we can just enjoy each other's company, and just know that there's going to be disagreements, there's going to be people who don't see things the same as you do. That is just facts. And if you come to a realization of that and just love each other's presence and be glad that they're there, then your get together, your party, your dinner is going to take on a whole different tone and attitude, and you're going to walk away
Yes.
from that dinner. You're going to say goodbye when you're closing the door and understand, it was great to see them. It was great to have them
Yes.
over. And those expectations of, oh, they should have acted like this, they shouldn't have brought this, or they shouldn't have done that. Did you see what they were wearing? All these things, we can mess things up so bad with expectations.
That's right.
And so that leads me to the thing we were talking about earlier about how unrealistic expectations ruin connection.
Ruin connection.
Yeah. You need to ask yourself, what is the purpose and the goal for your family gathering, your party, your dinner? It's to connect with family.
Yes.
And if you're so into these expectations in your mind, like these people should meet these expectations, I'll guarantee you will be disappointed, because there's no one that will meet expectations other than our Savior Jesus, he's our promise keeper, right? He's perfect. He's the only one that's ever going to meet those needs in our life of these expectations.
Yeah.
And asking yourself, what is this expectation? Where is it stemming from?
Sure.
That's very important.
Like your motive, right?
Right.
Yeah.
Because you might be asking yourself right now, like, what's wrong with expectations? I should expect my children to come visit me. I should expect this. I should expect that. Expectations can be good. We expected our kids to get good grades in school because those expectations are for their benefit. So me back up. Ask yourself this. If you're wondering if an expectation is good or bad, ask yourself, where does it root from? Is it rooted in selfishness and pride? And how do you gauge that? How do you measure that? Well, ask yourself, are you concerned about looking good, feeling good, being right, or being in control? If you can say yes to any of those, and then you put an expectation on it, then it's not a good expectation.
Yeah, it's the wrong motive altogether.
It is the wrong motive. So your expectations should be for the benefit of the other person.
Somebody else, yeah. And that's the whole thing about the holiday get-together. The whole season is we want to have meaningful connections, and sometimes we can hinder those meaningful connections by having these unrealistic expectations. Like what you said, it's all about the benefit of other people. And so, we are safe when our expectations are fixed, of course, on the Lord, because we live by faith and not by sight. And we live by the expectation of his promises that he's given to us in the Word of God, which his promises are faithful and they are
true.
Absolutely true.
Yeah, so if you're going to have any kind of expectations, put them on the Lord, because he won't fail you.
Yeah. Very, very good. Holiday tip number 5. We ready to dive into that one? Yeah. So this one is really good as well, and really important, especially for husbands, wives, family. Holiday tip number 5 is prioritize self-care. I want to say it again. Guys, prioritize self-care. This means learning to incorporate some stress management techniques in your life. And when you learn this self-care piece, when the holiday season comes, you can significantly impact your ability to navigate potential conflicts and even challenges that would just really wig you out or stress you out. And so
Wig you out. I like that.
You got to remember that the holidays with the family are to be meaningful. They're to be a blessing and not a burden. So what we want to do is we want to give 4 self-care ideas of help you kind of gear up for the holidays. And we found these to be really, really helpful. And I think we're going to be able to incorporate them as well into our toolbox.
Yeah. So the first one is focusing on gratitude and avoid comparing. Right. We had talked about this.
So
It's
huge
almost parallel with expectations.
Yeah.
Focusing on gratitude and taking your eyes off of comparing not just everything around you, but yourself.
Sure.
Am I doing the right thing? Am I providing enough for my kids? Zoning in more into your heart and your mind and what you're thinking, how you're feeling about yourself. That's what we mean here in this portion, is having gratitude and staying away from that comparing, because you're doing enough. Okay, your job our job is hard. Raising kids, raising a family, staying married,
Yeah. Staying married. That's an important one right there. And just staying on
nurturing.
task.
Yeah,
Yeah.
nurturing this relationship here between husband and
Yeah.
wife. I mean, it's a task in itself.
Mm-hmm.
So don't make it harder by comparing and asking yourself, am I doing enough? You are doing enough.
Yeah. Yeah. Somebody had made a suggestion like in line with focusing on gratitude is write down three things as you're getting ready to go and spend the day with your family. Write down three things like in a journal that you're going to be grateful for when you're with your family or just about life in general
Oh,
or whatever that case may be.
that's
Just
good.
write them down. And the other analogy is if you sit down and put yourself in what we call the Thanksgiving chair. And so as you're writing down those three things in your journal, you're in the Thanksgiving
Mm,
chair and you're reminding yourself that I'm going to be grateful for my wife, my kids, my family, my in-laws, my dog, my rat, whatever you have, right?
okay. I don't know about the
Yeah.
rat,
But
but
just writing
no.
down those gratitude things and then
Hmm.
sitting in that gratitude chair, Thanksgiving
I love
chair,
that.
and being grateful. So when you go to your family members, your friends, and you're sitting in that chair in their house, imagine that chair is your gratitude chair.
Hmm.
This is my Thanksgiving chair. I'm going to be grateful, and that's a good way to help manage that that self care in your own
For
life.
sure. I love that. We are definitely going to try that this year. I think that's great. The three things, thanking God or just talking about it
Yeah,
before you go to that event, or even right before you go in the door, like maybe in the car, just reach over and say, what
yeah,
are we going to be grateful for when we walk through
hmm,
those doors? And that might be something that just gets you through that evening
sure,
because I know there's a lot of people out there that are introverts that really this is a time where anxiety is high because you don't like these types of events, but you have to
yeah,
understand how much your family loves you. You want to be there. You got to see grandma and all the family and just being grateful that you have family.
hmm,
So do that. Like
sure,
we are going to do that for
yeah,
sure. I love that idea.
yeah.
Yeah.
Love it. The other self care idea we were thinking about is knowing your priorities. It's so
Mm-hmm.
easy to like jump into all of the holiday events and just go gangbusters without ever taking the time to identify what is our priority.
Mm-hmm.
And so, as a couple, you want to establish those priorities up front and kind of goes back to communicate early.
Mm-hmm.
And then once you establish what those priorities are going to be for you and your spouse, your family regarding holidays, then just
Right.
stick to them. And so knowing those priorities is going to be really, really huge because if not, what can happen is you're going to get caught up in all the events, all the celebrations, and you're going to lose sense of what your priorities are as a couple. And so kind of be strategic in setting up those priorities and establishing them. And that helps with self care as well.
Yes. Take time to laugh is number 3. This time can get so
Yeah.
stressful that you lose the fun in that in the season, and you just got to have a time where you're just laughing. If you're at a place, you're at a dinner, at a party, and you haven't smiled or laughed, take inventory of your heart and mind and just be like, why am I not having a good time right now?
Yeah.
And just let it go. Breathe out,
Mm-hmm.
let it go, and say, life is too short.
Yeah.
And like the kids say, YOLO. Just have a good time.
Yeah.
And then who knows, once you make that, you crack that smile and laugh, how
Yeah.
that time will just turn around for you.
Live in the moment.
Yes.
Enjoy the moment. You're there at the holiday with the family. You're in the moment. You're there. Might as well just enjoy, have fun. So,
Mm-hmm.
like if they're playing games, play the games.
Mm-hmm.
If they're telling jokes, pull out a few of your jokes, even if they're corny dad jokes like mine. So again, just get in the moment, enjoy the moment, and laugh and enjoy your time with your family. And don't be afraid just to let your hair down and relax and have a wonderful time.
Yeah, don't get too stressed that you can't laugh.
Last one, which I'm really grateful for as well, is make time to cry.
Mm-hmm.
And many families are entering the holiday season right now without a loved one.
Mm-hmm.
Their loved one has passed on, and sometimes it's nearly impossible to try to replicate the holidays without your loved one not there. And so I would say, or we would say, as you're entering the holiday, make that time to cry. There are these things that we do call the holiday blues, where you feel a sense of sadness and grief and discouragement because mom isn't there, or dad isn't there, or sister or brother isn't there, husband and wife isn't there. And so we really want you to, in advance, acknowledge your grief, acknowledge the sorrow, acknowledge the sadness, and then find a very special traditional way of how maybe you can celebrate your loved one that has passed away. Couple things we can do would be
well, we mentioned it in the last episode about that empty chair and keeping that empty chair open for and in representing your loved one at the dinner table, or even just somewhere in the home. You drape a blanket or something, a picture, and you just designate that spot for them because you're remembering them, or lighting a candle.
Light a candle, yes. A couple things just to memorialize and keep that loved one part of the tradition. And so, again, just to recap on those 4 things, 4 ideas. 1 is focus on gratitude. 2, know your priorities. 3, take time to laugh. And of course, number 4, take that time to cry. Yeah. So there you have it. We have given you the 5 holiday tips on how to slash the holiday stress. And so
you're so funny.
Again,
I love this guy.
Feel free to leave us a comment. Come in close. Feel free to leave us a comment. And if there's other holiday tips that you'd want to share with us, share them with us, because we love to put them also in the toolbox for other married couples. Yeah, so as we wrap up our time today, if you enjoyed the episode that we shared, this episode and the last episode, please leave us a review on any of our podcast platforms. You can also catch us on our video on our YouTube channel at The Favorite Marriage. And one quick last thing, we also launched our brand new website.
That's right.
www.thefavoritemarriage.com.
Yes.
www.thefavoritemarriage.com. That's where you want to find us. And we have blogs, podcasts, episodes, a lot of marriage resources on our new website.
We also are on Pinterest now. So if you are a Pinterester, you can find us on Pinterest as well.
Yeah. A lot of different platforms to enjoy The Favorite Marriage.
It's exciting. Thank you for growing with us. We are excited to keep growing. And when we see those numbers rising, we know that we're doing what God wanted us to do, and that's impact families through marriage.
Yeah. And like always, we hope that you experience God's favor
on you forever.
Have a wonderful holiday. Thanks for listening to The Favorite Marriage, where you and your spouse can experience God's favor on your forever. If you enjoyed this resource, please leave us a review and share it with your friends. We'll see you next time on The Favorite Marriage Podcast.